You are about to learn how to make more money from short sales quicker and easier than you thought possible. Hi, I'm Ted Lee with Neighborhood Realty Solutions, and I'm looking forward to showing you how to make a great deal of money listing short sales without the stress and frustration that most realtors are experiencing as they worry about how to handle requests for promissory notes, or how to settle judgments, or how to handle unpaid property taxes or HOA debt. Prior to developing our highly successful short sale process, I was an investment banker for 20 years, where I provided business advice, secured nearly $200 million for early stage companies, and successfully negotiated and arranged more than $1 billion in loans. Early in my career, I was a senior economist for a Fortune 50 corporation. I was an advisor to a member of the U.S. Congress on the House Budget Committee, and I represented a $3 billion corporation to members of Congress and regulatory agencies on major pieces of legislation. About 3 years ago, I started analyzing the problems facing the banks with 7 to 10 million underwater mortgages and about $700 billion in negative equity. It was obvious that short sale solutions would play a major part of the solution for at least the next 10 years. Clearly, it did not make political and economic sense for the banks to foreclose on 7 million homeowners. I was confident that negotiated short sale solutions would represent a major part of the solution for millions of homeowners with negative equity and insufficient incomes. So I teamed up with an experienced real estate investor that had closed over 275 real estate transactions. I assembled a team of professionals, including the most experienced short sale attorney and national title company. And I developed and implemented the most intelligent and highly successful short sale system for processing, negotiating, buying, and closing a high volume of short sales with our trained realtor affiliates. At the heart of every successful short sale transaction are financial negotiations involving some or all of the following players. There may be one or more lenders with liens on the property, a mortgage note guarantor such as Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, a note holder or investor who bought the mortgage note. There may be a judgment lien holder such as an HOA, and there may be a mortgage insurance company. And at the 300-foot level, the end game of these negotiations is ultimately to secure approvals for discounted payoffs of the borrower's obligations to enable a property to be sold at a price that reflects the value that a willing buyer would pay and the harsh reality of the property's distressed legal status and its current as-is condition. Now let's think about the typical realtor short sale snapshot. You spend far too much time trying to learn all the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and too big to fail bank rules and requirements just to sell a house. You work way too hard to close only about 35% of your short sale listings. And it typically takes 6 to 9 months to get one close where you can collect your commission check. So let's get real. You want to make money from short sales, but you really don't like dealing with lenders or negotiating homeowner debt just to sell a house. That's not why you became a realtor. You like listing houses. You don't like working out resolutions for requests for $40,000 promissory notes from banks and mortgage insurance companies. So this is where our solution for realtors comes into play. You're about to learn the easiest, fastest way for you to make money listing short sales. With our system, you keep 100% of your commissions. You'll be able to leverage and take advantage of our 90% plus success rate. And you'll make more money by focusing on finding short sale clients as opposed to getting caught up in the short sale process. You also like that it doesn't matter how much is owed to the lender or how much the property is worth. It doesn't matter where the property is located. We don't care if the property is the seller's primary residence or if the property is vacant, or who the lender is, or if the loan is guaranteed or owned by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, or if there's private mortgage insurance. But first, before I get into the actual short sale system we've created, let me make a disclosure. We follow all short sale rules requirements and restrictions imposed by banks, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac, and all other guarantors of mortgages. We are always 100% compliant with state and federal laws. What you're about to learn is not some clever way to go under, over, or around the rules. It's an intelligent approach to profit from the current and recently anticipated rules and policies imposed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the too big to fail banks. All right, let's go through the process. We start with a cash offer. We collect and compile a complete short sale package that includes a cash offer from our investment company called Corey Taylor LC. The fact that we start the process with a valid contract offer means negotiations can start immediately, often reducing the time to complete the short sale by 2 to 3 months. Now, as part of this complete short sale package, we need to collect personal documents from the seller. We're always going to collect 2 years of tax returns and W-2s, 3 months of checking account statements, 4 pay stubs not older than 30 days. We're going to collect the most recent mortgage statements from all the lenders with the loan numbers. We're going to have the seller provide us with any letters from attorneys or foreclosure notices. The seller is going to complete what's called a Freddie Mac borrower financial income statement. We're going to complete a property inspection sheet, and the seller is going to complete a hardship letter. We like it to actually be handwritten on just simple legal pad paper. The seller is going to date it, they're going to sign it, and they need to state in their own handwriting what happened. If they lost their job, if there's a divorce, if there's something like cancer, they've been in the hospital, whatever the issue is that's causing them not to be able to pay their mortgage, they need to put it in their words. They can state that they're hopeful that the lender will approve the short sale offer by Corey Taylor LC, so they'll avoid foreclosure, but it has to be in their words, and it has to be simple and direct. That they may have tried something, it hasn't worked, they can't seem to make up the difference. Let's say if there was a divorce and they lost half their income, so they can't make the payments. So the handwriting, we've done many of them where the homeowner has typed this out, but it's best if this is a handwritten letter. Now we're also going to collect documents that have to be signed. There's going to be a purchase and sale agreement between the seller owner of record and Corey Taylor LC. We actually use the purchase and sale agreement that your broker uses, or if you will, the one that's approved in your state. Now we have a supplemental short sale addendum that goes along with that purchase and sale agreement, and I'll discuss that a little bit later in this video. There's an affidavit of understanding. That affidavit essentially has the seller owner of record initial by every disclosure about a short sale, the fact that it can't, the outcome can't be guaranteed. The property may end up in foreclosure, on and on and on. Everything that they would need to know about a short sale is contained in that affidavit. So there's no surprises. And they'll sign that. That's part of the package. There's also an authorization to release. This is a document where the seller authorizes myself and Neighborhood Realty Solutions to gather their financial information and convey it to their lender, and obviously negotiate with their lender for the short sale. We also have what's called a notice of contract. This is actually notarized, and we record it in the county where we're doing where the property is located, and that basic document perfects the buyer's contract rights and equitable interest in the property. So we're basically telling the public that Corey Taylor LC has equitable interest and contract rights to buy the property from the seller owner of record, contingent on the lien holders approving the ultimate sale. We also use what's called a non-agency independent contractor agreement. That replaces the standard listing agreement. I'll discuss that a little bit later in this video. And we have a listing amendment that goes along with that. Essentially, that amendment is a document where the seller confirms or affirms certain rights that Corey Taylor has, and we'll explain those in a minute. And the seller owner of record is also going to sign what's called a non-HOFA form or non-HOFA election form, where the seller is saying, due to certain factors, either that they don't feel like HOFA will be in their best interest, or they don't feel like they could pay 31% of their income in mortgage payments while the HOFA short sale is being considered, or on and on and on. They just, every box that applies, they're going to check. And this just allows us to negotiate the short sale without going through that tedious HOFA short sale program that drags out the whole short sale approval process. Now, the whole short sale has to be substantiated, has to be justified and validated. So as part of that whole argument for the short sale, we also have you, the realtor, provide us with the 3 lowest comps. We actually use a questionnaire that triggers the process for the whole short sale when we get started with you, and the low comps is going to be provided in that questionnaire. We're also going to collect from you any visible repairs that you see are needed, such as paint and carpet, or the property needs a new roof, or there's 5 inches of water in the basement, or there's mold, or whatever the issues are. That will be detailed in the questionnaire. We will typically put together a professional repair estimate for the lender. Obviously, as part of the argument for the short sale, there's a valid contract offer with a proof of funds letter. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a listing agreement. That's something the lender wants to see. And there's actually a copy of the MLS page that the lender wants to see that it was, in fact, listed as of a certain date. Now, as I said, the purchase and sale agreement, the one we use, is the one approved by your broker. The initial purchase price in that document is going to be somewhere between 65% and 80% of the average of the low comps. Now, typically, it's going to be closer to 65% if we're dealing with real low-end properties that need repairs. When we're dealing with nice properties that are higher end in price, we're going to typically start around 80% of the average of the low comps to get discussion started with the lender. Now, the actual final price that we're going to purchase the property for is equal to the negotiated balances of all liens, mortgages, and closing costs. Now, let's talk again about non-HOFA. We only process non-HOFA short sales where we validate, justify, and negotiate for our opinion of the as-is current value of the property. We don't operate inside the government's bank bailout scheme called HOFA, where realtors are told that they have to list a property for a minimum of 120 days at a price established by the lender. So the seller owner of record simply checks the boxes that apply and signs a non-HOFA election form, and we proceed to process a negotiated short sale. Sometimes, believe it or not, the process takes a few days or sometimes a week, depending on the lender, where the lender tries to force the short sale, even though where we have submitted the form that said this is not HOFA, and these banks are not always that efficient, and we might start where it's been assigned to a HOFA negotiator, and it takes us a day or two to correct their records to get it reassigned to the non-HOFA negotiated short sale loss mitigator. But once we get it set up right, most of the time this is pretty quick, then the whole short sale process goes very rapidly. Now let me take a minute to talk about the concept of non-agency. As I mentioned earlier, we use a non-agency independent contractor brokerage agreement. We provide a copy of that to every realtor that works with us on the short sales, and that replaces the standard listing agreement. In Virginia, this agreement is compliant with 54.1-2130 of the Code for Realtors and Brokers. In other states, they're going to have their own codes that deal with non-agency, those where you don't have to provide all those duties and obligations of the licensed agent. And this agreement simply says that the licensee is not acting as an agent of the seller or owner of record, but rather as an independent contractor, and shall only have the duties specified in the non-agency agreement. All right. Now remember, we start with Corey Taylor as the buyer, and the final price is the negotiated approved net payoff to all lien holders. So you don't need to, nor do you want the traditional agency duties in the context of a short sale where you already have the buyer, and that buyer is going to do all of the work to facilitate a successful short sale transaction. I'll explain a couple legal concepts in a minute to make this more clear. All right, now I want to talk about notice and disclosure to the lender. We use a document we call the Supplemental Short Sale Addendum. In that document, it says that the seller, owner of record, grants the buyer, Corey Taylor LC, the exclusive contract to purchase the property via short sale. Now, that's already established when the purchase and sale agreement is signed, but we're just restating it in this document for the lender, that this is an exclusive contract for Corey Taylor LC to buy the property, contingent upon the lien holders approving the final purchase price. We're also disclosing to the lender, or we're providing notice to the lender of the buyer's intent. So we're saying that the buyer is going to do one of two things. Either the buyer is going to buy and hold as a rental and sell someday in the future as a 1031 exchange, or the buyer will, Corey Taylor will buy the property after we secure a final approval letter, and then immediately resell if that particular action is not restricted. In other words, if there's no stipulation in an approval letter or some affidavit that Corey Taylor cannot immediately resell, we're going to say that that's the action that's going to probably proceed. We're basically saying in this document that the immediate resell action will typically be triggered based on the final negotiated purchase price or market conditions, or any number of factors that may cause Corey Taylor LC to want to buy and immediately resell and not necessarily hold the property. So this is a document where at this point we're just providing notice to the lender of these various options. This document also says that the seller owner of record grants the buyer, Corey Taylor LC, all necessary rights to list for sale, market, negotiate, and enter into an agreement to sell the property to an independent, higher offer third party. Now, that particular right already exists at the point that Corey Taylor signed the purchase and sale agreement with the seller owner of record, but we're just restating it for the lender. So let me explain why it already exists. There's a concept or legal concept called equitable interest, and that's the right that has not been fully vested in terms of fee simple ownership, but nevertheless exist as a right to buy, to use as in a life estate, or a beneficiary right to own real estate at a future date. So at the time that the seller, owner of record, signs the purchase and sale agreement with Corey Taylor, LC, then where the future ownership is contingent on the lien holder approvals, equitable interest has been granted to Corey Taylor, LC. So again, we're restating it for the lender, but it already exists. Now, again, if not prohibited. So in this supplemental short sale addendum, we're telling that lender that Corey Taylor may buy and resell immediately if that lender does not restrict or prohibit that type of transaction. So the buyer may quickly resell the property based on all kinds of factors. So, and one of them may be the actual negotiated sale price. So if it's low enough, maybe Corey Taylor's going to buy it and resell it. Or maybe there's some other factor for which he might buy it, resell it. So we just want the lender to know that if the lender does not restrict it, that's what may happen. Now, let's take a look at some rule changes that have happened over the last 2 or 3 years. These too big to fail banks started including stipulations in their approval letters requiring the buyer to agree not to resell for 30 to as much as 120 days. Many of you have already heard about or been confronted by the Bank of America 30-day hold stipulation where the buyer has to agree not to resell for 30 days. But there's also other banks. Maybe there's been an IndyMac, for instance, might put in the short sale approval letter that the buyer must agree not to resell for 90 days, and one of them might say 120 days. So that's all been that kind of trend of these approval letter stipulations has been going on for the last 2 or 3 years, and you typically will find this in these approval letters from Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, and the like. In 2009 to 2010, the federal government rolled out its short sale scheme called HOFA. And that's that scheme comprised of rigid and tedious rules, the one I mentioned that requires the realtors to agree to list properties for a minimum of 120 days at prices established by the banks that are non-negotiable, where the ultimate buyer again must agree not to resell for 90 days. And then most recently, there's the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac new short sale policies that have the effect of imposing an improper fiduciary duty on the buyer and the buyer's broker to provide the seller, owner of records, lender with any higher offer contract between the buyer and a subsequent future buyer or any information that might influence the lender's short sale decision. So, let's be clear. We are 100% successful at processing, negotiating, buying, and immediately reselling a transaction referred to as A to B, where we buy from the seller, owner of record and immediately resell to some third party this is called B to C, where we resell to some independent third party, where our intent is fully disclosed to the seller, owner of records, lender, and the lender does not restrict, limit, or prohibit our right to immediately resell or liquidate the property in any way. But as a result of the recent and anticipated rule changes, particularly the new Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac higher offer rule, we now estimate that about 90% of all short sale transactions will limit, restrict, or effectively prohibit an immediate resale of the property. So now let's take a look at what we do differently when we can't buy and immediately resell. That is, let's review how our proven short sale fast track process uses the rules created by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the too big to fail banks to successfully close more than 90% of all short sales that we work on with trained realtor affiliates. And let me repeat, we do not violate any rule or requirement imposed by any bank, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA, or any other government agency, even if the rule might be improper or illegal on its face. So, if a higher offer is received and the current GSE, that stands for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, short sale policy remains unchanged, then as we state in our short sale supplemental agreement, then the higher offer will be presented to the servicer, that's the lender or the investor considering or approving the short sale. So there's a part in our short sale addendum where we state essentially to the seller's lender that we agree to abide by your rules. So if your rules remain unchanged, the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac rules essentially now being used by all the major too big to fail banks, then we're going to abide by those rules, and we will present this higher offer. The requirement that a higher offer be presented to the servicer may illegally or improperly interfere with the existing contract and result in economic harm to the buyer. So again, this is this notice section of that supplemental where we're basically stating to this lender that the fact that you are requiring this may be illegal, may be improper, and may result in economic harm to the buyer who has a contract from this seller owner of record. So we go on to say, should a valid higher offer be presented by an unrelated third party, then Corey Taylor does in fact agree to execute a release of contract with the seller owner of record and the new potential buyer, whereby this contract will be released and vacated upon the receipt of a final written approval of the subsequent higher offer. So now we're saying to the lender, we're going to agree to give you a higher offer contract, and the contract between Corey Taylor and the seller owner of record will be released after the lender has approved in writing the higher third party's offer to buy the property. And the release of contract, we're stating here again in the supplemental, and the release of contract will require the new potential buyer to compensate Corey Taylor LC in a separate transaction for his release of his equitable interest or contractual interest in the property, as well as the time, effort, and economic loss sustained by Corey Taylor LC. So this is what I mean by we're saying we are going to intelligently use the rules, even if they may be improper, imposed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the large banks, to say, look, if you want this higher offer that we went and found or may have been presented to us, that we were intending to resell the property to, if you want that offer, then fine, we're going to provide you with that offer, but we're going to provide consideration from the party that we're allowing to buy directly from the seller owner of record. So let's talk about consideration and what it really means. A promise to do something is one form of consideration, such as a promise to pay $200,000 on the day of closing for the right of ownership of a property. But a promise to forego or release a contract right to buy is another form of consideration. And because the equitable interest or contract right to buy and take ownership has value, someone may want that right of ownership for consideration. Now, let's talk about what's really happened here. This is now becoming a single transaction. We had the intent or the possibility that Corey Taylor LC would buy the property at the final negotiated short sale price and resell it to a third party as we provide notice to the lender. But now, based on these higher offer rules, these Fannie Mae higher offer rules, this is now becoming a single non-flip transaction where we're allowing this new party that we found or was identified or brought to us to buy directly from the seller owner of record. So This is where we've smartly adapted our legal documents and processes to enable us to close a high volume of short sales where we release our contract right to buy, and in consideration, we receive a payment from an independent third party. We arrange for a new approval letter showing the new third party as the buyer, and we show the new party on the final HUD statement. And from start to finish, in about 90 days, we end up with a successful, single, non-flip A to C short sale transaction with full disclosure. So let's take a look at a simple example. Let's take a look at a situation where Corey Taylor has an approval to purchase the property from the seller owner of records lender for $200,000. Now, a higher offer restriction exists. That higher, or we may have some sort of approval letter stipulation where that says that Corey Taylor must hold the property after he buys it for 30, 60, 90, maybe even 120 days. So there's some restriction, limitation, or prohibition that exist. Okay, so given that, a third party makes an offer to Corey Taylor LC to purchase the property for $210,000. So again, given the restriction, the limitations, now Corey Taylor will agree to release his equitable interest in the property for a payment of $10,000, and we will arrange for the new buyer to purchase the property for $200,000. So what we're in fact really doing is telling through you, the realtor, will communicate to this new buyer's agent that Corey Taylor has agreed to arrange for the buyer to get the property for the price that buyer wants the property for, and that's $210,000. And that's going to be arranged where in a separate contract or transaction, that buyer is going to pay $10,000 to Corey Taylor LC, and then the buyer is going to be permitted to buy directly from the seller owner of record for $200,000. That buyer's name and address is going to show up on the final HUD 1 statement, and of course the buyer's name and address is going to show up, or the name, excuse me, is going to show up in the final approval letter, naming that buyer as the buyer in that final A to C transaction. Okay, let's take a look at the timeline for your activities now working with us. Now, first thing, all short sales start with what we call a short sale questionnaire. You're typically going to get answers from the homeowner, and once you've maybe done one of these, you can get this completed in 10 to 15 minutes. This document, by the way, I'm going to go over all of these documents in a second training video series. This is where at the end of this, you're going to opt in and go to this second training series. I'm going to show screenshots of these various documents in this questionnaire. I'm just going to overview it here, but so you're going to see what this looks like, and of course we're going to provide you with a copy of this questionnaire and any relevant documents that you need, so we can do the process very effectively with each other. This is a very simple questionnaire. It just gives us information to get the short sale started. You're going to sign, the broker and you and the seller owner of record is going to sign the non-agency independent contractor brokerage agreement, and you're subsequently going to get the listing amendment signed. Again, I'm going to review these in a second video series, and that little step takes about 15 minutes. We're going to start with a plain vanilla MLS listing. The status is going to be active. I call it plain vanilla because there's going to be one picture, an exterior picture of the house. It's going to say, and we'll give you these instructions, it's just the status is going to say it's active, it's a short sale, there's nothing exciting in the description. We're not trying to attract anybody. Remember, we already have the buyer. We're starting with Corey Taylor LC as the buyer, so we're just putting it active because this goes in to the seller's lender when we're doing the complete short sale package. So we just start it with active. But in 2 days, or on or about in 2 days, when we've got the complete short sale package put together, you're going to change the listing to, if your MLS system allows, either to pending or contract, no kick out, with one contingency, meaning in this case the contingency is the short sale approval. That actual change should take 5 minutes, because again, we're not changing the description, we're not changing the number of pictures, nothing else is really happening. We're just, and effectively, we're just icing the whole MLS process while we're starting negotiations, while we're scheduling the interior BPO with the lender, and then after the lender completes the interior BPO and we have either a counter or possibly at the point where the lender has already approved an offer with Corey Taylor LC, a negotiated short sale, and we communicate that to you, then the listing is going to be changed to active, and this is where we're looking for our buyer, that third-party buyer I was talking about. So now you're simply going to change it to active. Now you're going to add as many attractive pictures as you can get from this house in a sort of a normal listing process. You're going to change the description to add either verbally approved, if that's the case where we tell you we have where the lender has verbally approved it, but we don't yet have the written approval. Or if we in fact do have the written approval, you're going to put that in there that the short sale approval has already been issued. And of course, you're going to write things in the description now, describe how great this property is. Hopefully this process should only take you another 20 to 30 minutes to complete. Now, sometimes, believe it or not, within hours, because of the way we work with you, by the way, on pricing. But because of how we do it, we can often attract a third-party buyer sometimes as quickly as hours, sometimes within a day or two, but it typically happens very fast. And so an offer will come in. Typically, it's going to be sent over to us by email. And so, again, one or two offers comes over, and maybe you've spent 30 minutes to get an offer to us, where we may find that we can accept it, or we may need to counter. And now what's happening here, as I discussed earlier, we're reviewing any restrictions, prohibitions about an immediate resale. We're looking at what's happened. If there's an approval letter and there's a stipulation where Corey Taylor has to hold it for 90 days, something like that, that's occurring in the transaction. If all that happens, then as I said earlier, and maybe 90% of the time, this is now going to turn out to be a single non-flip transaction. We're going to take care of all of that, all of those documents that we need to get that done. We're going to train you on what you need to say. If there's questions that come up with the buyer's agent where they want to know, what's happening, and we'll simply explain that. We actually put in writing, and we'll provide you with an email description so you can tell them what's happening, and that usually goes pretty smoothly, because all we're really saying is, as I said earlier, if somebody wants to buy it for $210,000, in that example, we're allowing that party to get it for the price they actually want it for in a straightforward A to C transaction. So then at the end of this, we organize all the work with the closing agent. We use a national title company. That title company, by the way, does all the title searches for us at the beginning of the process. They do all the preliminary HUDs we need on any counters or on our submission of our complete short sale process. So as a courtesy, we try to tell this end buyer that we want to use our closing agent. This group has closed more short sales than I think any other group in the U.S., so they know what they're doing, and most of the time that's never going to be an issue, and we're going to use that title group. So then we organize the closing. You can show up or not show up, but you're going to get your check in this this whole process. I think if I added this up, it's probably not more than about maybe a couple hours of your time of just going through actions on the listing, getting these documents, the documents that you need to get signed. I might point out here that it's not necessary that you're involved with us to collect documents from your listing client. You can if you want to. If you think that will help speed along, that's fine. You can do that. But if you don't want to do that, you can spend more of your time getting more clients, getting more listings so we can do more deals together. Now, our legal documents and proven fast-track short sale process enables us to add tremendous value to realtors and homeowners almost anywhere, regardless of the lender or who is guaranteeing the loan. In certain states, such as California, we use a different form or two. Idaho presents some added wrinkles, but in general, we're set to work with trained realtors anywhere they have clients who need a short sale solution. Now, I want you to think in terms of volume. Remember, there are 1.5 million homeowners who will be seeking a short sale solution in 2012. So we have a lot of people to help. So think how you could focus on getting clients and sending us 5 to 10 short sale clients every month. And just imagine how much you could make with our proven system and a 90% plus success rate. Our proven fast-track short sale system works with short sales in all price ranges. So here's just 2 examples for you to get excited about. Think about sending us 6 short sales per month with an average approved short sale price of just $200,000, where you could realize gross monthly listing commissions in excess of $32,000 per month. And for just 2 $450,000 short sales, you could realize with your broker, I don't know what your splits are, but you could realize in excess of $24,000 per month. Now, I hope it's clear by now that with our fast-track short sale system, you list houses, follow a few easy steps, and collect full commissions. You never waste your time driving potential buyers around to look at houses, and you'll never waste your time talking with banks. Now let me talk about a bonus referral fee plan we have here. Some of you watching this video may want to make some additional money referring your realtor friends, so here's our bonus offer. We will pay any realtor that refers another realtor to simply watch our videos and opt in to work with us. And when your referred realtor's short sale listing is closed by us, we will pay you $250. If your referred realtor closes multiple short sales with us, you get $250 for each one that we close, not just the first one. And this continues without you doing anything as long as your referred friend brings us short sale clients. So one referred friend might make you $250 to $1,000 per month, and 2 referred friends might make you twice that amount. Remember, there's only one referred realtor, even if multiple realtors might have the same realtor friend. At the top of the video screen that you're watching, you will see an icon to click that says Share. So when you click Share, you will be directed to 2 options. Either you can share to Facebook or to Twitter. And with a few clicks of your mouse, you can invite your realtor friends to watch the video that you're watching now. If they end up bringing us short sales, you will make $250 each time we close one of their listings. It can't be much easier than that. And here's the best part. You help friends that you would normally help for free. And we pay you every time we complete a short sale with your friends. And you do not have to train your friends. They train themselves by watching our videos. So let's talk about how to get started. To work with us in our intelligent, fast-track short sale system, or to refer your friends and be eligible for referral payments, all you have to do is opt into the second training video series. And you opt in by filling in your information in the box to the right. As I said earlier, in the second training video series, I'll talk about the personal documents we collect from the seller owner of record, and I'll show you screenshots and review all of the documents that we use for a complete short sale package. Please know that you don't have to be an expert on our documents to send us a short sale. We typically have our staff collect the documents from the seller owner of record, and we answer any questions the seller may have. But again, it may prove beneficial if you have an understanding of our documents in case the seller asks you a question or you want to help us to collect the documents to speed up the process. At any time while you're reviewing the video information in that second video series, you can send us a question by emailing us at support@neighborhoodrealtysolutions.com. So let's get started. Hopefully I provided you with a good understanding of what we do and how we complete many short sales together. When you have a short sale client, you will always begin the process by completing our questionnaire for short sale listing agent homeowner. I cannot think how we could have made this any easier or more profitable for you, our realtor partners. So opt in and let's get started so you can make money from short sales by truly working smarter